Significantly closer. We can get rid of all this stuff here. And we can become a little bit closer. We don't have so many people here. It's a very big space. So if everyone can be as close as possible. We're all in Silicon Valley, specifically Mountain View, but the Greater Bay Area in general. So I come here from time to time. I just wanted to see, before I begin speaking, I have a few things I could talk about, but before I begin speaking, I wanted to see, does anyone have any questions regarding their own life, circumstances they're in, if they have a spiritual practice, any questions you have, blockages, anything which you think would be relevant to you. I mean, just speak openly. I know questions can be difficult, but it's helpful when we can just start on the tone of asking questions. So does anyone have any questions regarding circumstances in their life, or questions about their spiritual practices, or anything?
Can I ask?
Yes.
So,
do we have another microphone, or just this one?
I think I should be good, if I'm audible for everyone.
Okay, as long as everyone.
Yeah. So this is regarding the spiritual practice I do daily. Why does it feel sometimes it's difficult, or I think difficult is a little hard word to use, but why is it a little hard to maintain that spiritual practice? Like for me, getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning, doing my japa mala, sometimes it's hard for me to get up. Though I want to get up, I have the will, but the action takes some, pushes back, but there's a delay in that. Why is that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And so, what she's speaking about is a spiritual practice in Sanskrit is known as sadhana. So anyone who wants to make progress towards a spiritual destination, or any destination for that matter, there is a process to attain it. Siddhasya lakshanam yatsya sadhanam sadhakasyata. Siddha means perfection, and sadhana means a means of perfection. So the style of practice we engage in is always in alignment with our ultimate goal. So first we have to become conscientious of what is the goal of our practice. Many spiritual practitioners, they have different ideas of what is the purpose of their practice. What is it that they ultimately want to achieve? So I'll answer your question, but before I begin, what is inspiring you? What is the goal you want to achieve through your practice?
In more of a materialistic world, to have a good routine, spiritually, to connect with myself, to find myself, to find the this highest power there, because I know somewhere it resides between us, within us. So to connect with them, and I always feel morning is the pure time, like there's no disturbance. I can hear the birds sing. It's just more calmer, and I can meditate more. So
that's very good. That's very good. So with any practice which we engage in, the more specified we can be as to what it is we actually want to achieve, the more determination we'll have to actually engage in the practice. So that's why it's said in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that Sarva dharma parikyaja mamekam saranam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yashyami masacha. Krishna is saying that surrender unto me. And the reason why he's saying that, and he specifically says in the Bhagavad Gita, param gati, I'm the ultimate goal of the practice, of anyone's practice, I'm the ultimate goal. And why is that? Because we as living entities are particles of consciousness, as you were saying. And that means that we're categorically different from this material body. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains, Yayasamo hitoji go atmanam trigunatmakam paropi manyate nartha takritam chavi padyate. It says that living entities, although we are categorically different from this body, although we are inherently spiritual, Atmanam Trigunatmakam, our sense of identity is highly ensconced or submerged in the various identities and conceptions which arise by associating with this world, which are known as gunas. Guna in Sanskrit literally means rope. So we're being pulled in different directions, by various destinations. And this pulling into different directions is due to our association with different people, different circumstances, different habits. And this actually creates an unclear destination in life. We become unaware of what is it we're actually supposed to achieve. But Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is saying, Vedantakrit Vedavit Evacha. I am that which is worth pursuing. So, you're right, we have a higher sense of self, but what is the nature of that higher sense of self is what the Bhagavad Gita is asking us to come to terms with. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is in a dilemma. He's conflicted as to what is the ultimate destination of his life. And Bhagavad Gita is teaching us who are in a position which is not as detrimental as Arjuna, but actually if you consider the greater context of our position spiritually, it may seem that it's not as detrimental. But actually being identified with the material body and being pulled to these different directions as goals is extremely detrimental for who we are spiritually. It's extremely detrimental. And why it's detrimental is because anartho pasanam saksha. As long as we're identified with this material body and the circumstances in relationship to this material body, we will be plagued by what in Sanskrit is known as anartha, which is an unwanted habit or an unwanted quality, which makes our ability to focus on a spiritual direction extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. Because we're being pulled in so many different directions. So we have to become convinced of what is the ultimate destination in life. Disturbance of mind is due to lack of a sufficient goal. So we may be making money, we may be maintaining a family, we may be trying to buy a house, buy a car, and we may have all these goals which we've subscribed to due to identification with the material body. But actually, the Srimad Bhagavatam says that's not going to satisfy you. The only thing which is going to satisfy you is unmotivated and uninterrupted service to the Supreme Absolute Truth, in full absorption in that Absolute Truth. And what is that Absolute Truth? Matat parachanamnanya kinchin asti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam shuddhi ganamani shuddha gana manani. Krishna says that of all truths, I am the highest truth. Just as pearls are rested upon a thread, everything is resting upon me. And as he explains the difference between this body and the soul, this body is composed of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The soul is composed of consciousness, eternality, and bliss. Krishna is saying that I'm the source of both of those things. So when we come in contact with our original divine source, who is a transcendental person and is the highest truth of all, then anartho pasanam sakshat bhakti yogam zadhoksaje lokasya ajanato vidvams chakre satbhavikit samhitam. By coming in contact with that transcendental personality, anartha pasanam sakshat, all of those anarthas which are obstructing our ability to engage in a focused practice, those things are eradicated. So we have to identify what are the elements of our practice. What is it that we're doing on a daily basis? Because it's not that sadhana can just be invented. It's not that sadhana can just be self-prescribed. Just like if I go to a doctor and I tell them the symptoms that's wrong with me. Let's say I go to an Ayurvedic doctor and they take my pulse and they say, you have a kapha imbalance, you need to stop eating cucumber and you need to adjust like this. Kapha is like mucus in the body, so you have to stop taking cold things. We aren't in a position to be able to self-prescribe what we need. We have to take a prescription from someone who's qualified to give that prescription, actually. So one of the best ways that we can become conscientious of what is the prescription which is needed in order for our practice to become more focused, in order to reinvigorate our practice on a day-to-day basis, is to come in contact with knowledge which can give us a full picture of what is the purpose of our sadhana, what is the purpose of our life, and what are those unfavorable habits, unfavorable aspirations, which are no longer, which aren't serving our ultimate purpose. Which of those things need to be kicked out? So one of the best ways in order to become conscientious of what is the ultimate goal of my life is we need to come in contact with a transcendental sound vibration which is constantly articulating that goal to us on a daily basis. We have to come in contact with spiritual sound vibration which is coming in a lineage of empowered representatives, empowered teachers who are able to transmit that knowledge with nirmatsara, which means without any envy, which means they have your best interest in heart beyond the circumstances of this material body and the narrative which you subscribe to on the basis of that body. So where do we get that vibration? Yasyam Vaishrimanayam Krishne Paramapuruse Bhakti Upadhyate Kumsam Soka Moha Payapa. You have to take in vibration which is coming from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Do you have a Srimad Bhagavatam? Yeah. So how often are you able to read Srimad Bhagavatam?
I haven't in a very long time, but I used to do since I was a kid.
Do you have this copy of Srimad Bhagavatam?
No, I have the Bhagavad Gita as it is.
Yeah, so you have this one, right?
No, there's a bigger one I got from India.
It's like a hardcover,
Yes.
little bit brown and gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bhagavad Gita is great. We should also read Bhagavad Gita. But what's specifically prescribed? If you want to become completely free from these obstructions, is we have to take in the message of Srimad Bhagavatam specifically. Because the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it knows us better than we know ourselves. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a history which is being given of a king who's been only given 7 days to live. His name is Maharaj Parikshit. He's the son of Arjuna. If anyone knows Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita, or Arjuna's grandson is being spoken to, and he only is being given 7 days to live. How many days do we have to live? Prabhu? When you were born, on your birth certificate, is there an expiration date which is written? Anyone? Anyone get a notice of when their lease is ending for the body?
No.
We don't know. And he's a king. He has all opulence, he has all power, he has all influence, he has all money, he has everything you can possibly imagine, all the things which we're aspiring for in this world. He has it all. But the thing which we have in common is that we are mortal, and we have to come to terms with the fact that at one point this body will cease to exist, and our consciousness will continue on. So he's in a position of fixed sincerity. He is not distracted by the various goals which we get pulled into in this world. So when we come in contact with that vibration, it's like when you come in contact with someone who's sick, someone who has COVID-19, let's say. When you come in contact with someone who has that, it rubs off, it becomes contagious. So in the same way, when we hear about the sincerity of Parikshit on the verge of death, that starts to rub off on us. That sense of urgency begins to rub off on us. And when we hear that message on a daily basis, and the various ways in which the message of the Bhagavad Gita, the message of Bhagavad Dharma, the message of self-realization is being presented in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's like a prescription. Nivritta tashter upadiya manas bhava sarachotra manori virama. It means that bhava socha means this is a medicine. This is a medicine for those who have lost track of the ultimate goal of life. And for those who take this in on a daily basis, Kadutama Shloka Gunanuvana, they are relishing this message over and over and over again. And the effect of it is Nivritta Trishna. They become free of all false expectations of this world. And they align their expectations properly with what is actually meant to engage our energy towards. So I would suggest to you, for becoming more clear about how to become fixed in our process of self-realization, is getting a Srimad Bhagavatam set for your home. It's an 18-volume set. If you read 41 pages a day, you'll finish it in an entire year. And when you read this on a daily basis, that will help you overcome the various anarthas, such as laziness or lack of faith, whatever it may be. Those things become eradicated through regular contact with the Srimad Bhagavatam. And furthermore, if you read that in the association of people who are also trying to walk on a path similar to you, that also enlivens you in a completely transcendental way. So what I would suggest to you is, along with your japa, you're chanting Hare Krishna?
Yes, and other also.
Yeah. So what I would suggest to you is, along with chanting mantras or whatever sadhana you may have, you supplement a study of the Srimad Bhagavatam into your life. As much as you possibly can, read 5 pages, 10 pages, 20 pages a day. And just take in that knowledge and think about it. Let it ruminate in your consciousness and see the effect that it has. And you'll see the obstacles to your spiritual life will be eradicated through that process of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So, to answer your question, lack of awareness of an ultimate goal is the only cause of our distress. When we take in spiritual sound vibration, which is coming in a lineage of bona fide representatives, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, that those misgivings or those obstacles in the path of self-realization are removed through the potency of that vibration. Any other questions? Yes, Melody.
Yeah. Well, my dad passed away like 10 years ago or something like
Okay.
that. So my question is like, how can I? Because I see that like it's like a traumatic way. I don't know. I would like to ask like, how can I do like that blockage?
Sorry, what was that?
Blockage, like
How do you remove that blockage?
yeah.
So if I'm understanding your question properly, there's two things. It's either your father passed away 10 years ago?
Yeah, like I want to, like my question is like, I want to know how can I see that like from a positive point of view.
From a higher perspective?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful question. Thank you very much. So what brought me to the path of self-realization, Piyush, can I have some water?
What is that?
Is this for me?
Yes, that's for
Oh, okay. I thought it was for Ron.
you as well.
You should get one for everyone. Does anyone need water?
I actually need water.
You need water?
No, I have.
You have? You need water?
No. Water for everyone.
Okay. So, what brought me to the path of self-realization was the same question. When I was 12 years old, I was staying at my cousin's house for a football camp. And I was just a regular 12-year-old kid minding his own business, going to a camp. And I got woken up at like 4:30 in the morning by my uncle, my father's brother. And he said, "Your father's on the phone, it looks like you need to go home, your mother is very sick." I didn't know what that means, I didn't have the context to be able to understand. So, I didn't really know what he was talking about. I spoke with my father, he said, "Your mother's had a brain aneurysm, you need to come home immediately." So my aunt, who was my mother's sister, she lived in Seattle, Washington. My cousins lived in Olympia, which is about halfway between Portland, Oregon and Seattle. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. So my aunt picked me up about a half hour later. And before I knew it, I was going down I-5 to Portland, Oregon at 5 o'clock in the morning. With the only context that I understood was that my mother had a brain aneurysm and she was very sick. Within 7 days, she left her body. So, from the age of 12, I had this question. I doubted that there could be the existence of God. I doubted that there could be a higher divine purpose. Because why would an all-loving and all-knowing God leave a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old, my sister being 5 years old, myself being 12 years old, alone in the world with only a father and no mother for the rest of their life? I had this question 20 years ago. And practically from the age I was 12 until I was 18, my life was actually 12 to about 21, my life was just very reckless and just like full of a lack of direction, a lack of clarity, lack of purpose. And at the age of 20, 21, I began really searching for an answer. Not only to that, but just dealing with the fact that, your father passed away, but you also have to pass away. Your mother also has to pass away. Everyone in this room eventually has to leave. So that started to really eat at me, like, what happens when I die? And I think the greatest perspective which I've gained from studying Srimad Bhagavatam and studying Bhagavad Gita is that when we understand the source from which everything is coming from, when we understand the nature of that source through which everything is coming from, then our perspective on the world completely begins to change. We should understand that Krishna is describing himself in the Bhagavad Gita as Suridam Sarva Bhutanam, which means that he is the well-wishing friend of everyone. So anything which is coming into our life, if we perceive it to be negative, we may not actually have the perspective to be able to say it's negative or positive. Actually, with the understanding that everything is coming from Krishna, that everything is coming from our well-wishing friend, that all material energy and spiritual energy is being controlled. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of God. If we have faith in that, and then we understand that the nature of Krishna is a well-wishing friend, then everything which we see in this world, we can see is actually a lesson. It's a schoolhouse, which is meant to reform our consciousness, to bring us to a higher conception of who we are. To bring us to a higher position of who we are. You know, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it explains that we've had thousands of mothers, millions of fathers, millions of brothers, millions of sisters. So when we have that perspective, it's not that we don't treat our family with love and respect. We should treat them with love and respect, because somehow our circumstance now is intertwined with them, so we should honor that relationship. But ultimately, we should have a higher perspective to see that these relationships are temporary. But the relationship which is ever existing is coming from our well-wishing friend, and anything which is existing in this world is functioning solely for the purpose so we can realize that relationship more deeply and more sincerely and more wholeheartedly. When we have that perspective, when we have that knowledge, when we're fortified with that understanding, then we will develop the understanding. What's that verse I'm trying to remember? Yeah. I'm not remembering it, but it says Tapu Navijigupsate at the very end. Is that someone who understands that Yaschu Sarvani Bhutani Atmanam Trigunatmakam Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Tatu Navijigupsate. One of the Upanishads is saying that when you see God within everything, and everything within God, you have nothing to hate in this world. You have nothing to fear in this world. Because you understand the original source from which everything is coming from is your well-wisher. So anything which is coming, any of the waves of experience which are coming into your life, they're only coming to help bring you to a higher position. And sometimes the hardest lessons which we have to learn in life, they may be painful to begin with, but they'll bring us to a higher position as time goes on. And it requires that we fortify ourselves with this wisdom of understanding that I'm not this body. And I have a higher purpose to attend to than just the needs of the body. And that purpose is to be engaged in uninterrupted and unmotivated service as much as possible towards our original divine source. And when we have that connection, then the perspective which we have in this world is always positive, it's always progressive. There's nothing to hate, there's nothing to fear. Everything is in control by our well-wishing friend. So this perspective has helped me, because I can understand that if I was 12 years old and I didn't go through that, who's to say that I would have been put into a position to be so introspective at the age of 19, the age of 20, the age of 21? I may have never been given that facility. So actually, you're fortunate because you've seen the reality of the world. You see how hard the reality of this world is. And if you take this experience positively and progressively, you can position yourself on the plane of consciousness to be able to never have to undergo it ever again. To never have to experience the pain of losing a loved one ever again. If you come to the plane of Krishna consciousness, if you come to the plane of spiritual consciousness, it will give you the context to be able to harmonize everything in this world for your own upliftment and your own edification. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Can you, is there anything specific which stood out that you felt resonated with you, that you can reflect back?
Yeah, like seeing everything from God's perspective.
Yeah, that's very important. And when we understand that God's our well-wishing friend, then anything which is coming is a gift to us, actually. But it may take time for us to understand that perspective. You had a question?
As a human being, we are so attached to all the materialistic things, come, food, low, and obviously, like, we sometimes cannot forget, we sometimes don't forgive, we have anxiety and all. So, is there one thing which we can start or begin with for practicing or something, just one shortcut, one thing which we can start where we can detach ourselves from those materialistic things, the materialistic feelings which are so negative, and bring ourselves to a position where even if we are detached, we are still doing our karma towards our family, friends, and this.
Best thing which you can do, the shortcut.
Just one.
Harinama, Harinama, Harinami, Kevalam, Halo Naste, Vanaste, Gatyurnita. There's no other process for self-realization which is easier than chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Iti Shodasakam Nam Kali Kalnashanashana. It says that in this age of Kali there's no process. Tato paratavo paya sarva vede sudrishyate. That if you try searching through all the various books of the world and try to seek knowledge, if you go and meet various types of teachers and this and that, iti shodasakam nam nam. These 16 syllables of chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There is no process which is recommended more than the chanting of Hare Krishna. Krishna is our well-wishing friend, and he's manifested himself. All the energies of Krishna, and Krishna personally, is fully present within his holy name. Which means that your best well-wishing friend is existing within a 16-syllable mantra. And you can take shelter of that mantra whenever you want. And Krishna is always transcendental. So if we're in touch with Krishna, who's transcendental to the various contaminations of this world, lust, anger, greed, envy, if we're in constant touch with that chanting, Krishna's names, and there's no question of being affected by this world, provided that chanting is guided by the wisdom of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. The chanting should be guided by a proper conception, a proper goal, a proper direction of who we are and who is Krishna. When we understand that and we chant in that spirit, there's no other process which will work. And that's the shortcut for the time which we're in. It said that Kalir Dosher Nadi Rajam Hasti Eko Mahadguna Kirtana Eva Krishna Syat Mukta Sangha Paramvaja. That Kalir Dosha Nadi, that this age which we're currently living in, this age of Kali, which is, if you haven't noticed, characterized by hypocrisy and quarrel. Has anyone seen some hypocrisy recently? Yeah, just walk out the door and open a newspaper. It's everywhere. It's the nature of this age. Kalir Dosha and Nirajam. It's an ocean of faults. We're short-lived. Our minds are super distracted. We're always scrolling. There's so much distraction which we're constantly bombarded with. It makes spiritual life so difficult. Kalir Dosha Nadirajam. Hasti Eko Mahadguna. But there's one good quality. And not only is it a good quality, it's a Mahadguna. It's a very good quality. Kirtana eva Krishna syat mukta sangha paramvaja. this chanting of the names of Krishna is the primary process for achieving self-realization. So if you take shelter of Krishna's names while being guided by the conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam, by being guided by the conclusions of Bhagavad Gita, through the proper line of understanding, through the proper line of thought, that chanting will eradicate all the incongruencies of our life if it's done sincerely. So that's the shortcut. That's the shortcut. It's just a matter of whether we accept it or not. Actually, one time our teacher, he was explaining that Krishna consciousness, this chanting of Hare Krishna, is so simple. Yet it's so simple you might just miss it. Because we're looking for something complicated. We want to do gymnastics, we want to develop, powers, we want to appear like this, we want to be like that. But self-realization in this age, because how complicated it is, has been made so simple. Simple for the simple, complicated for the complicated. And it's so simple you might just miss it. Is that okay? Anyone else have any questions? Ronam.
Prabhuji, I have one question. So, can you please explain the difference between Vishta Advaita by Ramanujacharya and Achintya Abheda by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Because both teach the same things: Guru Parampara, mantra chanting, devoted to God, and both are not on the extreme ends of the spectrum like Dvaita and Advaita. Both are in the similar path, and it's more or less the same. Is there any difference?
No. I would say no. And if there are differences, it's just a detail. It's just a detail. What he's asking is there's different schools of thought regarding surrender to Krishna, or lifestyle connected with Krishna. And sometimes the various traditions, they may have some differences in details, but the principles remain the same. Principles remain the same. The ultimate principle is Sarvada Rupanikija Alekam Samavajam Tvam Sarva Papi Yoga Krishna Vinasacha. I'm trying to remember that verse which Lord Ram recites to Vibhishan. Remember it? Aham Vrata Vatam Nama. I'm not remembering it, but there's a section of the Ramayana. Has anyone heard of Ramayana here? Have you heard of Ramayana? Yeah. So Ramayana is an epic from India, talking about the story of Lord Ram, who's Krishna in another age. The verse is in here, I just read it the other day.
Canto 9, chapter 10.
Yeah, Sakrit Eva Pipanayas Tabasmichi Tayachate Sarvada Sarvavatasmai Dadami Etat Ratamana. So Lord Ram there's a section of that story where the enemy of Ram, his brother, is defecting from that camp and is coming to join Lord Ram's side. But everyone on the side of Lord Ram is very skeptical of him coming. They're saying he's a spy, he may corrupt us, and we don't know what will happen. Why should we accept him? And Lord Ram, he says, Sakrit eva prapano yas tavasmiti tayachate sarvavad sarvadat tasmai dadami etat pratamnama. This verse is saying that anyone, Sakrit eva prapana means surrender. Anyone who once says that, my Lord, Krishna, Rama, I am giving my life to you. Anyone who does this one time, sincerely, he says, Dadami etat vratamama. It is my vow that I will always protect them and I will always give them shelter. So, coming to the process of Bhakti Yoga, process of Krishna consciousness, it's a little bit like joining the mafia. Once you're in, and you won't be forgotten. That's Krishna's mercy. So even if you can only once come and say, Krishna, I'm yours, and then for whatever reason you step away from the process, you may forget Krishna, but Krishna won't forget you. So we should take shelter of the essence. The details may vary amongst various Vaishnava traditions, but those are just details. The principle of Sharanagati, the principle of surrender, is the guiding principle in the life of any devotee. And that's ultimately which will make one successful, and that's the measurement of one's success. That's the measurement of one's faith. Is how surrendered is one to the instructions of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, to the chanting of Krishna's names. How much is one heartfully giving themselves to that process on a daily basis, without stopping, despite there being so many obstacles in this world. That's a true test of surrender, is despite obstacles, one continues on trying to serve. So I would just say it's details. In terms of what those details are, I haven't studied Ramanuja's teachings enough to be able to say, but on the basis of principles, we just need to see that surrender is the guiding principle of our life. It will always be protected.
Sure.
What's going on, Piyush? What do I need to do next? Does anyone have any more questions, or do we need to move on to the next program? You tell me what to do. What do you think we should do, guys? Should we go do another kirtan? Yeah? Okay, we'll do kirtan now. Thank you very much. So please take Srimad Bhagavatam this evening. We have sets available. We're trying to distribute 108,000 this year. So you taking one would help us move in that direction of seeing that a set of Srimad Bhagavatam should exist within the home of everyone in this world. Everyone should have a set in their home which they can take shelter of. So you please take one. We sell them for how much?
250.
Yeah, $250 for the full set. We also have a Spanish set. If you're interested in a Spanish Srimad Bhagavatam, we also have a Spanish Srimad Bhagavatam. And to take a set home with you is one of the greatest joys. To see, I have an 18-volume set which is non-different from Krishna. Krishna's name is non-different from him. The message of Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different. So you're personally coming in contact with Krishna when you buy a set. And you're bringing Krishna home if you bring a set home with you. So please take one this evening. Should we do kirtan? Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Do you want to lead kirtan, Piyush, or Balaram? Or are you the only one who knows what we were done? And I'll just, can I have a pair of kartals? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.